And what do we have next from a random grab of records from the living room shelf? We have Top Gun. From The Firstborn is Dead to Top Gun.
From the same era.
This copy is the copy that I got when the movie was out and dominated the world. And I really can't stress how much I was into this record when I was 11 in 86. I was obsessed with the movie, like everybody my age. And I gotta say, I was obsessed with this cover. I would plug in headphones into our stereo and listen to albums and just stare at the covers and listen to whole albums that way. And it was actually, as a side note, when I was really young, when my mother saw me doing this when I was 4 and 5 years old and just listening nonstop to music, her and her dad were like, I think he likes music, and they put me into piano lessons. This album I would stare at, and I guess it rubbed off because at that time when I was 11, in grade 6, I got this Tom Cruise haircut and would get gel and in the mirror, I would try and get that exact look. This record, I mean, it's so part of the popular culture that kind of everything about this movie and about this logo and about the look and the music and everything about it's a meme, like Take My Breath Away. I mean, come on. It is an amazing song. And I mean, how it's just internet gold. And I mean, Danger Zone with Kenny Loggins. I mean, The Need for Speed, all of that stuff. It is just so rich with internet imagery that it's hard to kind of untangle all of our associations we have Top Gun. Think back to when this came out and when it was freshly dominating the culture and the airwaves back in 86. Got a pretty solid track listing. Again, Kenny Loggins' Danger Zone, Lover Boy, Heaven in Your Eyes. It's got Cheap Trick, Take My Breath Away, and the closer on side 1 is the Top Gun theme. Down, 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 down. I mean, I would be shocked if anybody watching this knew who did the Top Gun theme. We all know how it goes, but do we know the people behind the curtain of such an iconic theme? Harold Faltermeyer and Steve Stevens. Side 2, Miami Sound Machine with Hot Summer Nights, Kenny Loggins playing with the boys. I mean, the iconic volleyball scene that we all know and love. Lead Me On, Tina Marie, and then Destination Unknown, Through the Fire. So I'm not going to talk all day about this. Again, the stack of records I have on my living room shelf is a shadow of the collection that I used to have through the years, through moving, just paring it down, giving stuff away. What I've kept is stuff that should A, have sentimental value to me, or B, be something that I'd still want to really put on. This falls a little bit more into the A category. I mean, don't get me wrong. If I'm barbecuing out here and I want to feel a certain way with a few friends, I would definitely put on a few of these tracks. This is a record that somebody would have to pry from my cold, dead hands because of the sentimental value, because it's the original one I had back in 86. And it was and again, the music that was on it, if we even take the theme song as a great example, it remains a kind of paragon of 80s movie soundtrack production and the way it sounds and the soaring, blistering electric guitar. I mean, it just sounds so 80s, but also so big and so, at that time, modern. And to be honest, when they used it for the Top Gun Maverick that came out a few years ago, it still sounded modern and big and great on the big screen. And as an 80s kid, the music that I was listening to back then, the music that to me was cool was that 80s production. I mean, there was a big backlash against that in the 90s when people were kind of getting back to the 60s and 70s and, dirty and real and gritty music. But in the 80s, that a lot of those new production techniques, it was so cutting edge and it just felt so modern and different from the records that your parents listened to. It was so tight, crisp, and great sounding that it became a measuring stick for the production of music. And I got to say, as I look back to the music that I listened to in the late 80s when I started getting into underground music, I was really drawn to the melodic post-punk new wave stuff that was coming out, but stuff that had great production. A lot of the punk stuff that my friends were into, I could appreciate and liked it on a certain level, but to me it just was not, it didn't live up to my expectations of what a record should be. And I get it that was part of the point, but there was something that clicked in me when I was listening to earlier records, when I was obsessed with Thriller and Purple Rain, the turning point in my, like, one of the earliest memories of like consciously having taste in music. Those records said to me, this is the bar. It's got to sound at least as good as this. And Top Gun was that for me. I mean, obviously it was, tied in with the whole, like, epic visuals of the movie and the story and, just being into that. But with the amazing theme song and with the tracks and with, the Kenny Loggins, the amazing Take My Breath Away by Berlin, it had legs of its own to be its own kind of entity. That's all I got to say about Top Gun. Classic 80s soundtrack.